Okay, following on from Michael Farry's example, and because we're all self-isolating like mad, we'll let us practice our reading of our poetry, which I was always shite at anyway. Over the years, I must have written about 5,000 poems. Most of them are shite. Some of them are reasonable. This is probably my favourite from a few years ago. It's also fairly long, so sorry for boring the arse off you. It's called Abilene. When that railroad whistle blew, I knew just what I had to do. A rooftop leap to carriage 17. With my dynamite packed tight, ancient wrongs would be put right as I robbed that doggone train to Abilene. Sitting there above the track, my memory meandered back to times when I would work hard for a bean, and I pondered fate's dark plot which had brought me to this spot, about to rob the train to Abilene. It may seem beyond belief, but I wasn't born a thief. I worked damn hard and kept my nose real clean. Way back east in Philadelphia, I built a life up for myself and had never even heard of Abilene. I took a wife when I was young, sharp of wits and sharp of tongue. Built a house and lived a life serene. I amassed a pretty penny, had some kids, not sure how many, but one was Jack and one was Rosaline. Then one day, upon my land, waving papers in his hand, came a railroad man, rumbustious and keen. And he said they'd bought the deeds of my house and fields and seeds to build a track right through to Abilene. He had lawmen pointing guns at my daughters and my sons, mouthing words distasteful and obscene. So, instead of getting stroppy, I just loaded the jalopy, piled up the highest you have ever seen. With the other dispossessed, we tipped the horse and headed west, hurtin' bad that folks could be so mean. And my wife just sat and cried on that long and dusty ride, till I was sorry she was comin' to Abilene. It's somewhat hazy in my mind. I think we left some kids behind. Neither of us checked the damn latrine. But we still had plenty left, so we didn't feel too bereft on our westward journey down to Abilene. We lost another kid or two when our horse dang lost a shoe, tripped and stumbled into a ravine. And I lost one of the girls, the one with all the golden curls, in a game of cards 10 miles from Abilene. Then the Injuns swooped one day, snatched my wife and rode away. I didn't have the will to intervene. She'd been getting on my nerves. That Injun got what he deserves. I just shrugged and plodded on to Abilene. Sorry. It was me and one small kid, and I ain't proud of what I did, but I got scared when she started turning green. So I left her by a fence, because there didn't seem much sense in the two of us not making Abilene. I walked into that there town, tongue bone dry and barehead brown, begging to be brought to a shebeen. I was thirsty, I was broke, with 2 lips too cracked to smoke, and I knew right then I hated Abilene. Well, I stole myself a gun, to right the wrongs that had been done, and sat up on that mountainside unseen, to gain what info that I could as that train passed through the wood, on its way, stuffed full of cash, to Abilene. I had to lay to rest that ghost, hit them where it hurted most, and so I closely studied its routine. And I took a little ride, with my eyes full open wide, aboard that rich old train to Abilene. So the time had come at last, the time to even up the past. I took a final slug from my canteen. The railroad had destroyed me. Now the prospect overjoyed me of robbing that there train to Abilene. Through the tunnel burst the train, like a rat out of a drain. I counted every wagon to 16. Then as that railroad whistle blew, shrill and welcome, right on cue, I leapt aboard that train for Abilene. I woke up in Oklahoma after 3 weeks in a coma. Busted legs and busted arm and spleen. I'd been found there on the track, lying, groaning on my back. There hadn't been a carriage 17. Now I take my bowl and wait, just outside the station gate, darn grateful for each nickel I can glean. But I shudder and I bristle when I hear that goddamn whistle of the train as it heads off to Abilene. Thank you.